All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for sticking with us. We are now here in the final best of three of the day, and the winner of this series will determine the second person to get travel, paid for up to a point, accommodation, VIP tickets, and a direct seat into the final 16 of the ESET UK Masters at I-47. It's going to be a ZVZ between Acer's Bly and Zazu, aka Roten, from earlier on in the tournament. We've just checked with him. He prefers to be known as Zazu. So that is how we will be referring to him here. And let's get into game number one, which is going to be on Daybreak. You guys have waited long enough. Let's see what's going to happen. Because spawning over here in the bottom left-hand position, ladies and gentlemen, representing Team Acer, we have none other than Bly, a very unorthodox Zerg player. What is he going to be doing against his blue Zerg opponent in the top right of the map? Ladies and gentlemen, our blue Zerg, it is Zazu. Now, are we going to see the knife fight that is Zergling Baneling in this CVZ? Or are we, in fact, going to be seeing a little bit more thoughtful, long-term play coming out of these players? Oh, I do beg your pardon there. We'll find out in just a moment. Looks like a bit of an extractor trick coming out there from Zazu. Nothing too much out of the ordinary so far. Both sides looking to drone up, and it looks like they might be going for that hatchery first. Pool first, of course, still possible. Pool, hatch, pool. Let's find out what these guys choose. And a bit of water has just alleviated the problem that meant I was effectively choking on breadcrumbs, which is really not the manliest thing to choke on, I have been told. And there indeed goes the pool for Bly, and there goes the pool for Zazu as well. So both sides have put down their pools before anything else in this part of the early game. Nothing too out of the ordinary. And it looks like we have a couple of Zazu fans in the chat. Hello, and thank you for hanging around and sticking around to watch this game. This is literally the most important best of three of the night for Zazu. Let's see if he can take them off of Bly. The hatchery's going down for both players at effectively the same timing. So the same player is basically playing an identical strategy twice at this point, although we have two drones coming in instead of an Overlord. So Zazu going to be able to squeeze a couple of drones in, while instead we have that Overlord, and we've actually got a first gas coming down from Bly sooner than from Zazu. So Bly is going to have the first refusal on Zergling Speed, for example, which may or may not come in really, really useful, depending on what kind of aggression he wishes to enforce. We see the Overlords now thoroughly scouting everybody else's base, just wanting to make sure they know exactly what's going on right there. And this is the extractor mining gas now, so we can see a gas count coming up for Bly, with Zazu's staying very, very firmly at 0. Now that means he does have a couple of extra minerals. Also, he has gone up to 21 workers versus 19 at the moment. So really going for a macro-heavy build here. And trying to get that gas at the last possible instant and still stay safe. Needs to make sure he doesn't fall victim to some sort of early game aggression from Bly, though. And he's still going to continue to mine more, of course, as long as this extractor is active here. And Zergling Speed has indeed started for Bly. Now, Bly does not have eyes inside the base of Zazu right now, so he doesn't know that a gas hasn't been taken. He might just assume that the same build was there. But in fact it is not. And now we actually have double gas coming out from Zazu, still with a slender worker supply that entire time. And hopefully the lack of gas isn't going to come back and bite him a little bit later on. Zergling Speed now halfway complete for Acer's Bly. And he's going to be sending out a couple of links just to do a bit of scouting, and boom, immediately goes the layer. Still only off of one gas at the moment. Let's wait and see when he wants to take his second and possibly third and fourth gases as well. There goes the second one right there. Do we see any action at the natural expansion? We do not at this time. And Zazu, in the meantime, has gone for the Roach Warren behind his mineral line. And a couple of queens are going to make sure that these lings are not able to get into the main base, so nothing too out of the ordinary there. And Bly is not going to be able to get a scout off, so he won't know that the roaches are coming, but the lair is nearly done for him. So let's see if he decides to go for Mutalisks or if he's going to be going for an infestation pit. My guess is probably a Spire. I've seen Bly do this before, once or twice in a ZVZ or two, and it looks like those two lings with speed are going to be able to get a scout off into the main base. Oh, are they going to get worker kills as well? Yes, one worker kill, and almost getting a second worker kill, but the drone's able to surround and kill it off. Just a little bit of a pain for Zazu to deal with right now, and there is the Spire, ladies and gentlemen, tucked away behind those minerals at the main base. So, third and fourth guests already mining for him, wanting to pool as many resources as he possibly can so that the mutas can have a maximum effect. Note that these overlords are basically food for mutas as soon as they pop, but they will also give Zazu a little bit of advance notice. So let's see what he does. He, of course, only has that Roach Tech at the moment, but we do have the Evolution Chamber now complete. And he is getting +1 missile attack, so he should be able, off of this, to go grab himself a couple of Spore Crawlers and see if he can't defend against the mutas. The mutas are, of course, a rather large investment from Bly as well, so he'll be looking to do a decent amount of damage on them. And it looks like we have a Hydralisk den going down for Zazu. He hasn't seen anything yet in the main base, but maybe he is suspecting mutas by this point in the game because he's only seen lings and nothing else from his opponent. So he hasn't seen roaches or anything that requires gas, so he's going to go for the Hydralisk Den in the hopes that it blind counters what Bly does. We have the Glial Reconstitution going down now for Zazu as well, and look at this, he's moving his overlords back. He definitely suspects the mutas now, and 7 of them are now on the way. All of the overlords being recalled like a faulty car model, ladies and gentlemen, across the map. And did he see the Spire with that overlord? Yes, so confirmation that the Spire exists now. Pretty darn useful indeed. And the mutas are going to be hatching in 3, 2, 1. And boom, okay, moving straight out across the map. Will Bly be able to pick apart a lot of these overlords? Only a couple of them are effectively in no man's land. These queens are on the edge of creep. They might be able to save this one right here. And it looks like Bly is desperately hunting for the overlords, but they are not to be found anywhere because he's already moved them all back. There is this one over here, which is basically a little bit too far from home for comfort, but it looks like all the other overlords have actually been consolidated. Now, these 2 queens can actually get taken down by a bunch of these lings and these Mutalisks, and it looks like he's going to very well try, but the Hydralisks pop out just in time, and a Muta does go down. It looks like Zazu is going to be able to completely repel Bly at this time. Bly has taken a 3rd base as well. Is this going to prompt Zazu into some sort of counterattack? He basically hasn't done any scouting this game so far, as that poor lonely overlord is lonely does finally go down. Are we going to see Zazu here be prompted into some sort of an attack? Bly is actually down in supply at the moment by nearly 20. So Zazu really wants to make sure that very minimal damage gets done by these Mutalisks. The Hydra's desperately trying to run as quickly as they can. The Muta's doing a good amount of damage there. 10 workers killed so far, and actually using the SimCity, using the Roach Warren to Zazu's disadvantage right there. But a lot of those Mutas are now on red health. Needs to be very, very careful as Bly finishes up his Baneling Nest to follow up this particular attack. And immediately going for Centrifugal Hooks. So deciding those are a very good weapon against Hydralisks, and they are very squishy. Who can blame them? As Zazu now moves out across the map, the mutas are going to try and do a little bit of pot shot damage to them, almost taking out one roach, but then the Hydras are here as well. Has to be oh so careful. Overlord getting taken out in the middle of the map now. Is Zazu going to be able to defeat Bly with this push? Bly needs to try and make the mutas count as much as possible. We do have a run by of lings at the natural expansion, and no Spore Crawlers here. We only have a couple of queens which have now been taken out. Oh no, there we go. 3 queens still in the main base. We need to see some Hydras here. And the 3rd base gets very, very comprehensively taken out here from Zazu. There is nothing on the ground that Bly can use to stop this from going down. Zazu currently up 140 supply versus 110. But the mutas are still alive and kicking. Are they going to be enough though? Because they're not actually doing nearly as much as they should. They're stopping reinforcements from coming in. But is it really sufficient? We have 10 Banelings morphing in now behind these spine spine crawlers. I'm just not sure it's going to be enough. Bly, very supply blocked at the moment as well, and more overlords going down. This is going to hurt him quite a lot, and the roaches and hydras come in. A lot of the banelings move through and kill off about half of the hydras, and now the hydras are turning around to target the Mutalisks. It looks like Bly's ground army is not able to take the heat at the moment. There's still a decent number of hydras alive in the back doing a lot of DPS, but there are 2 spine crawlers that do actually get transfused. The hydras are going to go down here. They're targeting the spine crawlers, and the mutas are able to come back from behind, and both sides have taken tremendous damage. Bly with a clutch hold there. I think about 3 transfuses on the spine crawlers made the difference there, because the roaches and hydras towards the end of that fight were actually targeting it down. So let's find out what the damage is. The current worker supply, 52 to 40 in favor of Bly. Zazu had a fantastic engagement. He had the better army composition, but unable to quite make it stick. The army supply is 44 to 42 in favor of Zazu at the moment, and these mutas still have limited use. There is a chance that Zazu might be able to push out for a second wave. Let's see what he can come out with. There are some roaches out on the map now for Bly, and Zazu has got that +1 missile attack already done. So still has potential, and here we go. Moving up the top of the ramp is Bly. Actually, a lot of these hydras very squishy, and the roaches are targeting the hydras first. Really good play there from Bly, but is it going to be enough? An additional round of units from Zazu says absolutely not, but Bly is currently up 109 to 102. Supply is equalized and then gone even further ahead as Pathogen Glands starts at the Infestation Pit. And if you take a quick look at this guy, he actually looks like he's having a proper party in there, doesn't he? Really chilling out. There must be some good music going on in there that we are missing out on. All right, guys, so Pathogen Glands about halfway done now for Zazu, but it has already started as well for Bly, just not quite as far advanced. He's also getting his +1 missile attacks as well, so he's going to be parity on upgrades at the moment. It looks like Bly is clawing himself into a better and better position inside this game. I think Zazu definitely had a great engagement at some point, but Bly unfortunately neutralizing it. And are these going to be burrowed banelings? Burrow's about to finish. And I'm zooming in for no apparent reason. Okay, they're not going to be burrowed at this time, but we do have a massive engagement going on at the ramp here. Okay, we're not actually going to see an engagement here. The hydras in the back are just a little bit too high as far as DPS is concerned. And infestors are now being made from both sides. Have those burrowed yet? Yes, they have. Okay. So they were obviously waiting until I wasn't looking. Not a problem whatsoever. We now have a roach, a stray roach, going to be taken out there from Bly. And, ooh. Burrowing, is there an overseer here? Does he even know it's there? I suspect he probably does. But that's going to be good for scouting if he doesn't a little bit later. And now Bly going to be prodding at the front door once more. Zazu actually taking a supply lead now, 136 to 144. But the worker supply is 60 to 38. So Zazu is potentially going, oh, a little bit all in with this attack. And the burrowed banelings, half of them detonate, killing off a decent portion of that army and actually making a lot of them very, very weak indeed. Zazu splitting the army up now, trying to keep the wounded roaches and hydras in the back there. Great stuff. And Bly now going for a counterattack inside the natural expansion. He's just so much further into the base of Zazu, as Zazu is of Bly. I am a little bit worried for our friend Zazu here. I don't know if he can hold on, because Bly definitely has a head start. Excellent fungal growth as well, and even using the drones as part of this fight. I think Bly might have this. Where are the fungals from Zazu? I don't see them at the moment. And, oh dear, these roaches are just doing so much damage right now, even burrowing to regain their health. And in the meantime, Zazu is still surviving inside the main base of Bly, but he is 30 supply behind right now. Bly might have an opportunity to defend here. He has 13 roaches incoming. That is going to be potentially enough, as long as he engages with them all at the same time. Not quite able to do that at the moment. There we go. Now popping in from a decent number of sides. We need to see these roaches unburrowed, though, if he wants to try and take this out. In the meantime, these roaches from Bly just doing a lot of damage and picking apart the lair as well. The number of workers left, by the way, is 26 to 2, and Zazu goes down to 8 supply. GG. The attack was cleaned up at Bly's base, and after a very back and forth, intense ZVZ, Bly, despite at least having one period in the game where he was behind, goes 1-0 up. All right, guys, so Zazu, can he claw it back from being behind here? We'll find out in just a moment, but one thing I will say is that he did quite well in the early game against Bly. Fending off the Mutalisks very, very nicely up to a point. Will he be able to take it back to parity in game number 2? Or is Bly going to complete the sweep 2-0 and get that ticket to I-47? We'll find out, guys, in just a moment after this break.